wanted to do a review of Perpetual Pleasurist, Why I Strive for Sexual Immortality. This one really stood out to me. It goes into transhumanism and other things that I wanted to comment on. So without further ado, we will begin. And let me just hit the play button here and we'll start.
Why I Strive for Sexual Immortality. This is a video response to a commenter called Agent28. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you for asking about this topic. I very much appreciate it. He was talking to me quite frequently about how he's been going on various different channels, and he notices this trend or this pattern of very few channels that are antinatalist channels or channels that have to do with soul trap reincarnation, soul trap escape type topics, etc. He's noticing that there seems to be this trend of people that seem to be vehemently opposed to or not at all caring about bodily immortality here in this world, or rather immortality, sentient immortality via other means, whether it's bodily or whether it's via some new bodily form that we don't currently have, etc. So right off the bat, it should go without saying, but it seems to constantly have to be repeated all the time, that obviously everyone with basic sense would like for transhumanist technology to be used in benevolent ways, right, only, and not misused in malevolent ways.
So for starters, I don't particularly want to be in a body. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? I'd like to be in a dream world where I can just imagine things and they just happen. And I can have wonderful sensations and wonderful feelings without needing this body and hormones and all these chemical reactions that go on in the body to create these sensations. Yeah, and you will find a lot of people that will claim that we need to have the body to have these types of senses and feelings. Perhaps it might be a little bit different outside the body, but the main thing is being at peace, being blissful, and having a good time. That's really what's most important.
More than likely, transhumanist technology, the way it's going, it will probably, like every other technology that's ever existed up till now, be a mixed bag. There will be benevolent aspects to it that will help many different people, and there will be malevolent aspects to it that cause huge amounts of harm to people, depending on who uses it and what they use it for and how.
And isn't that wonderful to be in a realm, to be in a matrix in which you have technology and there's been a benevolent side to it, and there's also the negative side to it, the destruction that technology can cause people, the malevolent side. Just wonderful. Now, most things that I would say when it comes to technology, not everything. There are obviously pros and cons to technology, but it seems that if you were to take out a piece of paper, draw a straight line across the middle, and you had reasons for on the left and reasons against on the right, you probably would find more reasons against, meaning more negatives, more drawbacks to the technology on a grand scale, if you look at the big picture, than the good things, the benefits.
Just like, for example, cars and cell phones, etc. Medical technology also. It can be used to extremely help people and benefit them in ways that they never had access to ever, but it can also be used in very nefarious ways to control people's minds and things like this. So ideally, I want to be in a position to ensure that transhumanist technology is used in benevolent ways and not malevolent ways as much.
And how are you going to do that, Perpetual Pleasurist? How are you going to possibly do that? Clearly, transhumanism, the agenda, is for malevolent reasons. It is not to help you. Yeah, there are going to be some so-called advantages to it. That's to draw you in, to make it look like, hey, this is a good idea. You know, there's no reason to really stand up against this or anything. It's going to be like, okay, this is going to save lives. This is going to make you live longer. This is going to get rid of cancer, whatever the reason is. But what people won't understand is the unintended consequences. Those consequences that will be very well known by those at the top of the pyramid. So obviously, I'm sensing a positive feeling from Perpetual Pleasurist. Sorry, it's hard to say that. I should just call him PP or something like that. Very positive towards the idea of transhumanism. And no, you're not going to have any control over, how it's done here.
Much as possible, right? It's weird. A lot of times people just seem to assume that transhumanist tech, like, no matter what period, is automatically this like negative thing. But it's like, well, if you understand my world,
everything in this realm is basically a negative thing. I don't want to be here. I mean, it sounds like this individual wants to live in this body and suffer for the rest of his life. Now, I'm not suffering. I've had a pretty good life, honestly. Not great, not like wonderful, not terrible. I'm very aware that other people do not have some of the benefits that I've had, some of the advantages I've had, but also many other people have had better lives than I have and have had more advantages and more money or just better standing, better family life, whatever. And that's cool. I think we all have our own, we can take advantage of certain negatives that happen. We can learn from it, makes us stronger and all that. But yeah, I'm not somebody who wants to stay here forever. And I don't think he does. But the way he's talking, it's like, it's within the matrix. So I want to get out of the matrix. I want to think beyond the matrix. I don't want to speak positively about technologies that come about within here.
View, it's like, well, everything already that exists is technically some variation of evil. Because if you're being pleasured, if you're experiencing good from a thing, guaranteed inevitably there's some other sentient somewhere else that's being pained by that thing directly or indirectly, some way, somehow, right?
So yeah, and Perpetual Pleasurist also believes that everybody is evil. So he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was clear that he said that, everybody's evil in some way. Everybody's part of evil. We're all evil, maybe to varying degrees, but we're all evil, which I don't believe that at all. I think when we're in here, we are more susceptible to evil and doing things that are bad and harming others just because of the mind control and the system and the way things are here. The bad health. I mean, the food's poisoned, the water's poisoned, the air's poisoned, everything's poisoned. Okay, so we're not functioning at a top rate. And another thing is this talk about how, there will be, health, better health, live longer and all this. Technology has helped with that. Yeah, in some ways. And like I said, if you drew that line and you put the pros on one side, the negatives on the other side, I mean, there's going to be some pros there for technology when it comes to health, medicine and all that. However, there's going to be more negatives. The problem is people are not taught, people are not educated on how to live their life naturally. That's the problem. So what happens is we live this unnatural life, and then here comes in technology, new customs, new medicine to put a Band-Aid over the mistakes we're making by not living naturally.
At the very least, in the process of creating the technology initially, right? If not afterwards. But the point being is that since nobody knows for certain what in fact is the case for sure, 100%, in terms of what you individually are going to experience for certain after this bodily state, or if you're going to have any experiences at all, there's just various speculations, there's various anecdotal pieces of evidence, there's various experiential pieces of evidence. But the thing is, it's all over the place. There's all sorts of different contradicting evidence everywhere regarding what could or couldn't be past this state, or what is or is not beyond the state. So what do we know for certain, though? Okay, what we know for fucking certain is that we know in this world physical technologies are things we can do. Okay, we're already right now on the cusp of being able to very noticeably alter our own genetics in ways that we want customized for ourselves. Okay,
I don't want to change my genetics. I am very happy with everything that I have. Um, I guess maybe I'll rephrase that. I'm content. I'm okay with it. I'm kind of indifferent. Maybe indifferent's the right word. I don't need to, you know, I don't care about, you know, being bigger and stronger, having better looks, having better hair. Um, I don't care about those material things. I think that's a certain maturity that you gain over time. Now, I'll be honest, it's not perfect, but I've come a long way. You know, to get rid of the material stuff as far as being the focus point of my life, it's more on wisdom, understanding, and learning. That's really what it's about. So, this talk about, like, I mean, he is just all Matrix talk here. I mean, this talk about, you know, changing genetics to improve things. And this is the transhumanism thing, obviously. Speaking very favorably of it is what he's doing, which completely against here. And if you hear some of his other things that he talks about, I mean, all you have to do is just search his channel, listen to what he talks about, and you can make up your mind of what you think of this person.
We're already like on the cusp of all sorts of stuff like this. And this technology is accessible to the public already. It's just being refined in terms of, okay, the safety and getting all that sorted out. But the actual technology is already here. The CRISPR stuff and everything else already exists, already available to the public. You can buy packets online to freaking alter your own genetics, for fuck's sake. So it's already here. But that being improved on and going much further is going to be quite significant, because what we do know for certain is that physical tech in this world is something we are able to engage with, and we are able to fix certain problems with it here in this world. Okay? Now, whether a specific corrupt corporate individual uses it to fix things or uses it to fuck people over more, or does both, fixes one thing but makes a problem elsewhere, that has to do with the specific individual using it. It's not that the technology by itself is something bad or horrible. It just means that it's being used that way, or not, right? So,
Yeah, and, you know, I agree. Technology can definitely help solve some problems, no question about it. But you wonder, would those problems be solved with a different approach? You know, what caused that problem? What's the causation here? Very important. A lot of times the cause is hidden, and they just come up with a solution for something that problem could have easily been caused naturally. He's going to get in a little bit more about some other technologies that I question as far as their importance.
so I don't think anyone would debate that the existence of cell phones is overall a more beneficial thing than not, for obviously emergency use. If you're in the wild, having a cell phone versus not could save your life if you get in a bad situation. Obviously, I think everybody would agree that overall, having cars, motor vehicles, is overall more beneficial than not, because even though, yes, they pollute the environment and fuck everything up, and we have to have all these fucking roads and shit that destroy animal environments just to have the things on them, overall, at least for humans, motor vehicles are more beneficial than not. Obviously, emergency services, transportation, etc., right?
Yeah, I mean, that's because you weren't born in the 1800s. Okay? So, of course, you're going to think it's beneficial because you don't know any different. I don't think cell phones are overall better. I mean, I grew up in the 90s when I was a kid. You know, I was born in the late 80s, and there were no cell phones, and people were doing just fine. Okay? All I see is people walking around with their heads down on their cell phone all day, not looking up at the chemtrails in the sky, not looking at the person that passes them by to say hello. Okay? It is separating humanity. It is something that is a distraction. It grabs your attention. Releases endorphins. So these are things that we become overly reliant on, like social media. Of course, when social media started, I knew it was going to be a disaster just because all your information's out there. People are going to become addicted to it. You're going to see other people's social media accounts and how wonderful their life is, how terrible your life is, and all that. And I kind of figured that was going to happen at the time, about 20 years ago or so. So yeah, I mean, Perpetual Pleasurist is saying some things that I think a lot of people in the, quote, truth community would disagree with. I mean, I think things were fairly fine without cell phones. Yeah, in of course, there are benefits to it, if you were to get lost and you have a phone or, anything like that. But it also, what it does is it creates this ultra reliance on technology. I think that's the biggest problem here. Now, a lot of children, very young, have cell phones. I mean, I'm not young anymore. I'm not old. I don't have children, but I'm pretty sure, kids, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old have cell phones. I didn't have my first cell phone until I was 18. Most people at the time, around 16 or so, 17, would get a cell phone. And what it does is it just makes, like I said, children kind of grow up a little slow. Not able to, it's just sort of like their parent can just reach out to them instead of like, okay, we know to go in when the lights, the street lights come on, starts getting dark. It just kind of makes you less reliant on your community. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the over-reliance on technology. It takes away from your natural ability to solve problems and figure things out. And then, God forbid, something happens where there's no more of that technology, or maybe a week without it, and then what do? You go crazy. So this is the problem. I mean, it's getting too reliant on technology. So the cell phones right now, they're separate from you. You're holding them in your hand. You're looking down at them. They're separate from your body. Screens that we have, our laptops, monitors, all that. That's separate. Transhumanism, that's going to be taking these computers and installing them into your body. So we've gotten used to them in our environment, used to using them. It's going to be very easy to say, hey, now we're going to, put that in your body. And then, from there, who knows what they can do. So very scary stuff. Not something to be like, this is great, and not saying he's saying that this is great, but he's certainly not against it. And that's pretty clear here.
Even though, yes, there are negatives, obviously, in terms of resource use, etc. Same thing with cell phones, right? So that's how I see the same thing with transhumanist technology. I think this over-the-top paranoia, although there are some legitimate concerns people have wanting to...
It's not over-the-top paranoia whatsoever. This guy, I want to say he's a demon. I mean, honestly, that's the first thing that comes to mind when he says stuff like this. I get it. Like, we're all accusing people of stuff, and we shouldn't accuse, and we shouldn't judge, and all that. But you know what? That's what came to mind. This is a demon who has sympathy for this type of technology. That is going to... it's going to get rid of the human creativity. It is going to make humans essentially obsolete. Wonderful. Great idea. I mean, this guy, I don't know. He's also a very good speaker. Speaks very well. I'm always skeptical of people who speak well on YouTube. And that doesn't mean just because I'm a crappy speaker and someone else speaks really well, it's like, oh, my God, and I wish I was like him or her, and I'm insecure about how I speak. No, I mean, it just seems like they all speak really well, and they all have a good vocabulary. It's smooth. Now, I don't do any edits in my videos. I mean, I will in the future probably. I'll probably do some editing and whatever. But right now I don't. But I know a lot of people do edits. They do cuts and stuff. And I haven't been doing that. Yeah, it's just good to get on here and just speak your mind and just talk. Not have it be some scripted thing or just be like a great speaker. I mean, are all the truthers out there such fantastic, phenomenal speakers? I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's some people out there that don't speak well that know just as much truth or have just as much insight on these topics. But I'll stop rambling and we'll continue.
To make sure, hey, we really need to make fucking sure transhumanist tech more than any other tech is used benevolently, because the negative effects of that are going to be far more negative than negative effects of other things because of how much.
Now, this is where I'm lost. I'm lost. He says, we need to make sure, as if you have any control whatsoever. You don't have control over shit, okay, on a grand scale. You might have some control in your immediate life, what's right in front of you, what you're going to have for dinner tonight, okay, your family, your community, whatever that means these days, community. There's really no community. But, like, you don't have control over anything, man. I mean, all you can do is make decisions for yourself and learn as much as you can about how to get around things the best you can. And be strong to stand up for yourself and stand up for your rights. The rights that you gave yourself, quite frankly. Nobody else gives you those rights. So, I mean, what is he talking? Is it the government? Is he saying the government is going to say, oh, we got to bring this up, we got to roll this out and be benevolent? Okay, we got to do it for the right reason. It ain't gonna happen. So part of the control is that they can't just come out and put out this technology that's gonna just, cut your head off. Okay, it's gonna be something that you're going to consent to. You're going to see the benefits and the drawbacks that you might see. There's going to be controlled opposition. There's going to be even the mainstream is going to give you the negatives about it. They're going to put in the news. They have. That's just to get it out there. Like, hey, yeah, there's pros and cons to everything. It's the duality, that whole thing. But the problem is people are not aware that life can be really good without that shit. And without any of the side effects. Kind of like Big Pharma. Okay, and the whole drug thing. People need to live naturally as possible, but some technology can be good. I'm not going to lie. I think this realm, it's meant for us to have technology. I just think for humans, it's meant for us to have some technology. But the problem is here, it never ends. It just continues. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. And you might say, well, you know what? Maybe that's just part of it. Maybe, long term, we're going to have all this, transhumanism, computers, robots everywhere walking the streets. And that's a good thing. Maybe it is a good thing. Maybe it is. I don't want it. Okay?
More drastic the effects are going to be either way, right? More drastic benevolent effects, therefore equals more drastic malevolent effects, either direction. So, that being said, really, my whole focus in life is, okay, and that's why I classify myself as a Gnostic in that context. Gnostic in the sense of the opposite of agnostic, in the sense of, okay, I'm only going to base stuff on what I know for a fact, for certain, based on evidence, as well as my own direct experience for sure, okay? I'm not going to base anything on just speculation or crossing my fingers hoping for something. I'm only going to base stuff on what I do, how I engage, and what I know for fucking certain. And I'm going to gather more certainty as time goes on. So I'm not interested in leaving this state or leaving this world against my will, as long as there's any goddamn fucking question mark as to what state I'm going to experience after this. I'm not interested in that bullshit. I'm not interested in randomization of something potentially happening to me. I fucking hate potentiality. I like things exactly the way I want them, and I like to be able to specify exactly the way I want things. I despise randomization and potentiality just being thrown at my face. Okay, this could happen, this might not happen. I'm not interested in that bullshit. I don't like that crap. So, my interest in continuing to live in this world as long as possible, as healthfully as possible, with perpetual youth technology, and whatever forms I'm able to merge into while maintaining my own desires and sentience, not controlled by some outside source, that's what I'm going to focus on, right?
So he wants to be young forever. He wants to, drink from the fountain of youth. He wants the new technology to make him not age, merge into a different form or whatever while he's here. I don't give a shit about this Matrix place. I don't want to be here. I'm going to live my life out, and I'm going to live it as happily and as positively as I can, but I'm going to learn, and I'm going to gain wisdom, and I'm going to find a way to be in the best possible position I can be in when I exit. Period. I'm not gonna take on this transhuman thing like, you know, like ride that wave. It ain't happening. So yeah, I don't understand how somebody can be aware of the, and I hate the name, the soul trap. I think it's a terrible name. You know, just like flat Earth is a terrible name, just like the Mandela effect. It's a terrible name. These are the names that are given basically to make it sound kind of ridiculous or kind of, you know, distort what it really means. You know, give someone the wrong idea. Like soul trap means we're trapped here. That doesn't mean we're not trapped here necessarily, but that's what the name implies. So it's crazy to think somebody who is aware of this reality is also like almost pro, like I'm pro transhumanism. I'm pro science. I'm pro, I mean, is this a NASA fanboy too? I mean, this is, I don't know what to say. We'll continue. He's going to talk about some things in a little bit here that are kind of disgusting, quite frankly. I mean, maybe he won't go into too much detail. This is the first time I'm actually watching this video. I watched a little bit in the beginning. I haven't watched the whole thing because I wanted to just comment on it, not have like a plan or anything. I just want to just do it. But he's going to talk about some things. So, you know, if you want to shield yourself away from it, go right ahead. If you have kids, send them off to bed. I don't know when it's going to happen. It might be soon. We'll see.
Unless and until I can actually guarantee my actual, what you would call a soul or spiritual state beyond this world, and guarantee that that's going to be my exact experience. Unless and until I can guarantee that for fucking certain, I'm not going to be okay, just naturally dying when it happens, etc. So, personally, the actual dying itself doesn't scare me. I don't have any issues just dying and leaving the state, because my desires have already been fulfilled. At least the desires that I felt, okay, I have to have these particular desires fulfilled, those ones have already been fulfilled. At this point, it's just putting on the cake for me, right? Personally. So I'm not afraid of death. I don't at all. Like, death can come whenever, and okay, there's death. There it happens. My focus is on, I want to fucking guarantee the state afterwards. I'm not interested in disappearing from existence, number one. That's bullshit. That would piss me the fuck off. Disappearing from existence. I want to remain a being who's able to experience sexual pleasure forever. For the rest of eternity, ideally. Or
yeah, and this is what he talks about. He's obsessed with sexual pleasure. Absolutely obsessed with it. And that's cool. Like, that could be considered kind of a benefit, or like a good, like any good experience. Like if you get high, feels good, sex feels good kind of thing. There's some things that feel good in this realm, but it could be a little bit of a trick, a deception in some way, right? What feels good isn't necessarily good. Okay? What feels bad isn't necessarily bad. So, very obsessed with this material realm he is, very much just wants to stay in a body, wants to stay here. Maybe not here, but he wants to go somewhere where he can have the same experiences. But, don't you ever think maybe this Matrix was created as sort of like an experiment or whatever, and the sexual part of it is just part of what creates new life and new bodies here, and new spirits in these bodies. It has something to do with that, So it's like he's tricked. I mean, I'd like him to clarify what he means by that, because it seems very contradictory to me. The things that he's saying. On one side, this place is hell, but I love all these things about it. It's wonderful. And I want to continue having those feelings when I'm not here anymore. Very contradictory to me.
Or rather, as close to eternity as possible, if you know what I mean. That's my interest. So, I'm not interested in sexual desires or urges being removed from my existence. I want those to remain. I want those thoughts and feelings to remain in my system and my physiology. this physiology or other physiologies after. Very much so. I don't want those things to disappear. Even if I was offered the ability to have those things just removed from me, okay, you will never feel sexual desires ever again. You'll just be experiencing a totally different kind of bliss without any sexual specific sensations. Or, let's put it this way, without any romantic specific sensations flowing through your system. I'll be like, well, fuck that. I want to make sure that I have access to a penis or something that is akin to a penis, as well as warm, juicy holes forever, for the rest of eternity, and things that are either directly women's rear ends or things that are akin to women's rear ends forever, right?
Yeah, so there he goes on about that. So does he think that, I think I kind of lost my train of thought there, but, basically, it's like he's playing us. It's like he's just like, you fools who listen to me. I mean, or he's crazy, or he's just messed up in the head. He's got some psychological problems, trauma from a young age, perhaps. This is just my opinions, Perpetual Pleasurist. You sound like you mean well and authentic, but I have some concerns about it because I'm not saying everybody's like me, but I feel exactly the opposite. I don't feel like that at all. I don't think like that. I'm not thinking that I need to have my limbs, my arms, my legs, my sexual organs when I'm out of here. I mean, I love having a good dream. If I have a dream and it's a good one and it feels like home to me, that's what I would want. Something like that, where I don't need arms and legs and sexual pleasure. And hell, maybe I can have sexual pleasure. It's all in the mind anyway, man. It's all in the mind. So, I don't think you need the physical, the touch, the sensations. You just need the mind.
That's what I'm interested in, And if you're not interested in that, well, I just don't relate to you. I mean, you do you, I do me, right?
Right, and I certainly don't relate to you either.
And I do others, and you do others, etc., if you know what I mean. But you get the idea. You get the gist of it, right? So, yeah, I understand what Agent 28 was saying in this line of thought. He's basically getting across that, and I'm not speaking for him. I'm not saying he has the exact same thoughts I do on this, but I'm speaking for myself, of course. But as a topic, he's got a lot of good points. You're like, yeah, I don't relate at all to these other content creators, antinatalists, whoever they are, soul trap people, who are wanting to enter into a state that's like, okay, you're like intensely blissful, but you're like removed from sexual specific dynamics going on. I'm not interested. That's like, okay, cool, I'm happy, but let's bring back in sexual dynamics. I'm not interested in just being blissful by itself without romantic sexual things going on as the basis and source of that bliss, right? Like, just be...
Why does it need to be romantic and sexual? Why can't it be something else? I remember when I was a child and I had some of the best experiences of my life, and I didn't need any of that stuff. So... once again, it just sounds like to me that he is just playing everybody, and I don't know, maybe I'll learn, later in life. Maybe it won't take too long, and maybe the next few months I'll learn kind of what his a little bit more about his point of view, but I doubt it. I am open-minded, but it just doesn't seem right to me. I'm not thinking that way. And there's this whole thing that people know what it's like when you're out of this body. Like, oh, you're just going to be in this blissful state and that's it. And you're going to get you're as if that's bad, but you're going to get bored. You're going to want to get back into a body. I don't see it that way. I don't think that's necessarily true. It could be. I don't know. But I think this body is a prison. It's a prison. It's flawed. It's made for suffering. Now, there's the good feelings as well. But guess what? You're going to suffer one day. You may not have suffered yet, but you're going to suffer one day. And the good stuff's just to keep you here. Keep you from fighting back. Keep you from finding the truth. It's a deception. It's all mind control. That's what this whole thing is. So to just have this favorability towards certain aspects of this place, especially with some of the taboo stuff that he's into, I mean, to me, you gotta like question that. I think a lot of people do.
Being blissful, there you are, bliss, happy, 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 but no sex. Well, that fucking sucks. That's pretty fucking lame. That's basically my psychology. You know, it's like, yeah, cool, let's be happy forever, but let's have sex going on too. Why not? Why just only be happy forever? You see what I'm saying? It's just weird to me. It's cheesy as...
I mean, this is the person who thinks that everybody's evil. He thinks everybody's evil. Just to varying degrees. Okay? I don't know. I think drugs feel a lot better than sex, to be honest. A lot better. Alright, so... I don't know if he hasn't experimented with some things in his past. Alright. But I think it's a lot better. And like I said, it's all about the mind. It's all in the mind. And, you know, it's just he's being stuck in the physical, with the physical sensations, the physical feelings, and not about exploring greater things.
Fuck this idea of, oh, you'll just be this purely blissed out consciousness, no need or inclination. Well, who cares whether there's a need for it or not? I'm going to actively want to have sexual urges brought back into my experience. Like, even if there is no need for them, I want them there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so these people who are like averse to like eternal romantic sexual stuff going on forever beyond this state, I don't relate to those people. I also don't relate to all these people trying to act like sexual things are like something that just stops here at this realm or in this world. Like, according to who? Your dumbass? What? So, like, giving anal sex to women is only something I can experience in the temporal material state here? Why? That's the...
Well, maybe not here, but maybe some other matrix somewhere else. My ultimate plan, my agenda, is to have full control over my experience, to dictate, to choose what I'm going to experience at any given time. That is my dream. That is what I see. I don't see my next life or wherever I'm going to be escaped from this matrix trap having anal sex. I mean, come on. That's the last thing I'm thinking about. I mean, what about the feelings you get, of the feeling of a great friendship, companionship, true love? What about that? There's a lot of things, infinite amount of things, really, that are much more pleasurable, or as pleasurable, at least, than that activity. Not saying it's bad, not saying I'm against it, I'm obviously not. But this is what his whole channel's about. It's all about anal sex. And dirty anal sex. I mean, wow. If you watch enough or follow enough people, watch enough people on YouTube, I mean, man, I'm telling you, I didn't think this shit existed. I didn't think this stuff existed, but then you meet some people and you're like, oh my God, I guess, you know, and then the comments, you know, people are commenting and like, they agree. They're like, yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, you wonder, where are these people coming from? And it's interesting. On his videos where he talks a lot about his obsession with anal sex and getting, you know, dirty and all that stuff that I'm not going to talk about here because I don't like saying that stuff. There might be children in the room. but there's no negative comments. I mean, can that be true? All of his subscribers, or every single person that watched that video, agreed with his taboo behavior? I don't think so. I think he's tapping that, you're blocked. He's blocking them. He's deleting their comments. He has to. Because, quite frankly, if he had 100 comments, I think 80% of them, 80 of those comments would be like, negative.
Stupidest fucking thing ever. If I'm completely free or far more free in states beyond this one, I'm going to guarantee a forever eternal lineup of the most perfect asses I can ever imagine. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's exactly what I'm going to fucking do.
This is extremely childish, immature, disgusting behavior. Okay? That he's thinking about, worried about the shapes of people's asses lined up. Like, this is number 1, this is 2, this is 3. He's ranking them. Like, what is going on? This person is extremely immature. You can say he's traumatized. You can say he was abused. You can say all these things. You can have all your opinions you want. I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying he's immature. Super immature. An immature spirit. He's an immature spirit. Find your spirituality. You're not acting like you're a spiritual person when you're worried about people's butts. Just can't take this guy seriously at all. Can't take him seriously. He's a good speaker. And I can see why people listen. Oh, he speaks well. He must be smart. Right? That's a trick.
My own paradise state beyond this world, But I need to fucking guarantee that I have that specific paradise state and not some other one. I'm not interested in being tossed into some other state or being in some other entity's paradise state if it's not mine that I want to be in, Fuck that bullshit. Yeah, I'd be happy visiting other paradise states, but I sure as hell wouldn't want to fucking stay there, especially if there's no sex going on, for fuck's sake. So, well, how do we get there? How do we guarantee that we get there? Well, first of all, I can guarantee that I have that now in this life, and assured to me, both now and in the course of transhumanist technology developing and being perfected, that I guarantee a continuation of my sexual experiences, urges, feelings, sensations, fetishes, etc., ongoing throughout the entire course of the development of transhumanist tech, right? So, if you're okay removing yourself from the state intentionally or whatever because you feel very assured of the state you're going to go into afterwards, or if you're okay just a natural death just happening to you and then you're okay with whatever follows or something and you have confidence that you're going to be in a state that you want to be in. First of all, the fact that we have to calculatedly make a point to be in the state that we want to be in here in this world right now, to me, it's just completely delusional for somebody to think that, just by having a certain desire or wish or strong intention for yourself in relationship to when you're dying or when a natural death phase, that's going to equal you entering into a state of your desire or choosing. How? Where do you come to that conclusion? That's not...
Great, so why don't you make people feel like shit? Why don't you make people feel like they don't have a chance, they don't have power, they have no shot whatsoever? So it sounds like to me, Perpetual Pleasurist, that you've pretty much given up. All right, you've given up, and you're just going to double down on all the sexual pleasure, all the pleasures in this realm, in this hell realm. That's what it sounds like to me. You're embracing the technology, embracing transhumanism, so you can have more anal sex. That's what it sounds like. It's disgusting. And then at the same time say, you may feel that all you need is your intention and you're going to find the destination you desire, and like, that's not realistic. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's not realistic, but like the other side of it is like, have more anal sex. Okay, like, whoa, you're way off, dude. Like, come on. I don't know how anybody takes this individual or whatever. Seriously, this character, this YouTube character, that's what it is. It's a YouTube character. That's it. I don't know how much more of this I can stand. I might only be able to do a couple more minutes. We'll see. Let's get into transhumanism a little bit more and not so much about your anal sex fetishes.
Not the case even now. So why would that be the case at the time of death? That doesn't make any fucking sense, you know? Realistically, you can expect that you'd have to put as much intention, will, focus, calculatedness, and that you would have to understand detailed science even beyond the science of this world to ensure states even beyond this one. Like, I don't see... To me, it's very delusional for people to think that, oh, there's not some far deeper, more involved science beyond the state that you have to actually remain aware of to ensure your state's here. Like, even now in this world, you have to know how to fucking fix a car and fix a phone and fix your own equipment if it breaks down, if you want to save yourself thousands of fucking dollars and not rely on somebody else to fix it for you. And there's no guarantee that the other...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't cost me thousands of dollars to fix my phone, bro. I mean, do phones cost thousands of dollars? My phone breaks, I can go buy a new one for like $50 or less. Okay? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And plus, like car problems or whatever, you know, basically the dealerships are taking over all the repairs anyway, but you can still find a decent mechanic for a decent price if you don't know how to fix your car. Yeah. Didn't understand that one.
The person fixing it for you is going to do it right. That's why, that was the main fucking reason I got it into working on my own car somewhat, because the jobs that other people did, it was never fucking trustworthy. It was always fucking hit and miss. You can never tell to what degree they're actually doing it right, or whether they're jipping you out or some shit like that. And multiple times people did screw me over, and I confirmed it afterwards. But it's like, you know, so I was like, all right, fuck this bullshit. I'm just going to fix my own stuff, maintain my own stuff, and know how it fucking works. And so that I can detect if somebody's fucking up or not, you know?
Cool. I agree with that. That's like the first thing I agree with. You know, try to fix your own stuff, learn, try to figure out the best you can. You know, be reliant on your own abilities instead of relying on others, for sure.
I'm not interested in leaving stuff up to possibilities. That's probably in my life. That's probably the thing I despise the most. Shit being left up to possibilities. I hate that fucking shit. Like, it's so fucking stupid. So people calling me a control freak, fuck yeah, I'm a control freak when it comes to my own experiences and the happiness thereof. Hell yeah. Like, you should be a fucking control freak, you know? You definitely should. I've got a shit ton of ego when it comes to ensuring the stuff that I want to experience and guaranteeing that it fucking happens. Hell yeah. Why the fuck wouldn't I? You know? People just like to play this card that, oh no, I'm just humble. Whatever happens, happens, and I'm okay with bullshit. You're not fucking okay with random ass fucking bullshit happening to you. You want specific things to occur, and if they don't occur, you're just mind fucking yourself to make yourself okay with whatever happens. Now, being able to adapt is one thing. Yes, I'm adaptable. That's why I'm interested in outdoor survival skills and stuff. I can adapt to stuff just fine. But adaptation doesn't mean that that's what I'm wanting. I'm not wanting random ass shit to be thrown at my face. In fact, that's why I'm so good at a lot of outdoor survival skills and stuff, is because it's all about the more... All
right, so all the deer, all the squirrels, all the rabbits need to look the fuck out. Watch your back, because Perpetual Pleasure is coming in hard. All right? Watch out. Whoa. This guy knows how to survive in nature. You're all fucked. Quite literally, actually. Nature style. Watch out. So yeah, I do agree. I agree with what he's saying. We don't want to be hit with things, not be in control 100%. However, I know I cannot control everything. So adaptability, like he said, is great. Being able to be adaptable, but try to control as many things as you can. Try to learn a new thing every day, as they say. So, yeah, that's good. That's positive. But, yeah, very concerned for the wildlife out there, for sure. Very, very concerned.
Precise you are with the skill, the more exactly your experience works out, and the more pleasant your experience in the wilderness works out. people who are not highly skilled and highly precise and exacting and control freaks about exact details of things don't do well when they're in the middle of nowhere without somebody to help them. They don't do well. I do very well in those situations because I'm obsessed with controlling those like little micro details, okay? I'm obsessed with it. And I'm obsessed with everything I enjoy. I don't just enjoy stuff a little bit. If I enjoy something, I'm obsessively into it, period, okay? And this is a well-known trait amongst many people diagnosed with autism spectrum. Now, I just say that as an anecdote. I don't personally identify as autism spectrum. It's on paper as a diagnosis. I'm not using that as any kind of...
Now, does he believe the jib jabs cause autism? Huh? You know, the little pokey poke? Huh? Does he think, or does he think that's just some natural thing that I couldn't control? I don't know. And that technology is going to solve that problem? No. What is this guy's beliefs anyway? I mean, I haven't watched all of his videos for sure. But I don't think there's much talk about that stuff. And if there is, please leave it down in the comments below.
Excuse for anything or claim for anything. I'm just saying, okay, it's an anecdotal piece of information, right? So take it how you will or in what way you will, you know, either way. But the point is, I noticed that behavioral pattern or psychological trend in myself, trait rather. So it's just very obvious to me. It's like, okay, let's base stuff on what we know for certain. So while we're still figuring out what the fuck's going beyond this world, what the fuck is going on beyond this world, which we're probably going to come to far deeper understanding of that as the decades go on, far more than we have up to this point anyway. So why not just buy ourselves the fucking time? Ensure that we remain around sentient here for as long as possible, the forms that are already here, minus bringing new forms in, right? And keep enhancing ourselves unless and until we can actually confirm and guarantee specific states beyond this world. Why not? Why just leave it up to fucking chance? You know, see, and this is the thing. It seems like people are overly confident of two things to me. They're either overly confident that they're going to disappear from existence entirely and just escape that way, right? A lot of antinatalists and ethalists think this way, that at the time of death, they're just going to disappear from that specific sentience forever, and they're just going to forever be escaped for the rest of eternity from sentience again. But it's like, hold on a minute. Well, you're implanted into this particular sentience this time, so what makes you so confident that you're not going to be implanted in another sentience again, or another variation of you is going to be reformed by a malevolent being elsewhere and fuck you over a second time, or create another version that isn't... Here's another possibility people like totally fucking overlook. If we're dealing with a malevolent enough entity, what it's going to do is it's going to just recreate new, different sentiences, convince them that they're going to disappear forever at the time of death. And technically, you may actually be disappeared at the time of death as that particular sentience forever. Quote unquote forever, right? But here's the thing. If we're dealing with a malevolent enough entity, what they're going to do is they're going to create a new being that's a different sentience, but connect it to the same psychological, physiological sensations that that one had before. So basically, even if you're technically a different individual, you could still be getting fucked with, you, quote unquote, even though you're actually a different being, but you're implanted with the same fucking physiological tortures that the other sentience was, or very similar ones, and where they basically ensure that, oh, this sentience had this set of horrors, so we're going to reimplant that set of horrors in this sentience here. So it's basically you anyway. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so we don't know what's going to happen, you know, once the body is done with here and you pass on or whatever. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the thing. We have near-death experiences we can look at, but, you know, obviously they came back here. And anybody who, you know, didn't come back, we have no idea what happened with them. So 100%, I'm not really into so much of the just making up sort of negative things. Yeah, I can think as negative about anything like it's the absolute worst case scenario, that literally it's finding a needle in a haystack is getting out of here. But at the same time, I think that could be what the Matrix wants you to think, that it is overly difficult They put so much effort, they spend so much time to keep us in the dark, to fool us, deceive us, to poison us. Maybe it's not as difficult as we think. I think that planting the seed in someone's mind, so it would not be doing any service to say, come up with all these different variations of outcomes that are keeping you trapped in some sort of matrix system. I don't think it's beneficial to plant those seeds and state that, you could pass and then, you think you're out and then you're tricked. Some entity forms or transforms into something recognizable, trustworthy, and sucks you back in. Kind of going down that path. I don't think that's helpful. I think empowerment is helpful. I think it's helpful I did a video called Be the Hero. So being the hero, okay? Being secure, being confident in yourself, being honest. I think those things are true here, and I think they're true in the afterlife as well. And it's much better to think positively, to think that I will succeed than it is the other way. Now, we have to be open to the possibility that things might be a little difficult, but we need to put a smile on our face as well and grin and say, yeah, but it's not going to fool me. It's not going to fool me. And maybe we might have to fight. We might have to fight our way out of here. And I'm willing to do that.
And there's all sorts of other fucking variations. That's just one of them. People think it's like either there's an eternal soul and you're trapped, or you just disappear forever. No, there's all sorts of other possibilities between those two extremes. Okay? All sorts of other fucking possibilities that are far more plausible in a lot of ways, actually. So, because here you are now, right? So I've done huge numbers of videos on why it's really dumb to assume that you're going to escape sentience forever, literally, at the time of death. Because anyone who understands generic subjective continuity, it's...
Right, and I agree. There probably is so many possibilities. I mean, you could possibly exit out of this level here, which is just complete hell and bullshit, and get to a higher level where it feels like a casino, okay? And it's just flashing lights and everything's beautiful and wonderful. You're still in the Matrix, but you're like, yo, this is pretty cool. I got a cigar. I got my drink here. I'm having a great time. I'm just looking at the scene. This is wonderful. I kind of like this. But if you're not careful, you might get sucked back into this hellhole again. You might be completely content. You might leave this level of the Matrix, go to another level, a higher level perhaps, whatever you want to call it, a more desirable level, and be like, I could stay here for a while. This isn't too bad. But watch your back. You might get sucked back into the bottom level, which is this hellhole right here, which I'm not saying it's the absolute bottom. There could be worse, for sure. But it might be like an amusement park that you could enter into, some just amazing place within the Matrix. Now, the goal is to get out of the Matrix and exit, to fulfill your sovereignty. However, as Perpetual Pleasurist said, there are many different possibilities, and those possibilities could be quite desirable. They might feel comfortable. They might feel like home. Doesn't mean it's home, and it doesn't mean you can't get sucked back into this place. So you got to be careful. But yeah, there are lots of possibilities. 100% agree with that. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea.
You can clearly understand how that's not going to happen that way. You're not going to disappear forever from sentience entirely. Even if somehow maybe, and that's still a maybe, that you disappear from that specific sentience, in that specific sentience forever going forward, right? And it's just other variations of sentience imposed from that point on. It's various degrees of irrelevant because the point is sentience is going to be reimposed anyway. So who really it's really not that big of a difference whether it's exactly the same individual or a different individual. The point is sentience just is getting reimposed. So you aren't going to be escaped at all. There's just going to be sentient experiences going on. It's not there's no sentience is anywhere going to be ever escaped from anything. It's just sentient experiences happening. Period. Okay, so I've beat that to a dead horse in other videos. So if you're interested in that specific topic, if you're one of those idiots who's confident about disappearing forever from sentience being imposed on a you or whatever your variation of that vision is, watch those other videos. I go very much in depth on that. Okay, why that's obvious BS. And very, very childish and unicorn fart-like to have confidence.
Yeah, and you are childish. You are childish. And I'm not saying I agree with what he just said about escaping from sentient beings or anything like that. I'm very open-minded. But what I know about myself is I want freedom and sovereignty. I don't want anything else dictating what I'm going to do in my experience. And if that, whatever is dictating that right now, if it's supposedly good, well, I want answers as to what the hell is going on. That's what I want.
You're going to disappear forever after you leave the state, even if there is no soul, okay? So that's the first part. The other part of it is this unicorn fart ideology that people, this whole souled being narrative. I'm a souled being, I'm a being of light, I'm a being of love and affection and blah, blah, blah. This whole spiel that people tell themselves about themselves, right? Now, sure, these people may be really well-intentioned, loving, affection, everything else, but their asses are fucking trapped here right now, bodily speaking. They're trapped in a certain brain and a body. Their intentions may be on this world. Their feelings may be desires for a world beyond this one, but they're trapped here right now. So, okay, if you're trappable here right now, what the fuck makes you so confident that you're going to, just with your intentions themselves, which by themselves aren't even freeing you from your body now, that at the time of death, okay, the body's dead, that somehow those intentions are going to carry you into a state where you're free then. There you're free now. Or like...
Sure, what makes you think that that's going to happen just based on your attention, but what makes you think the opposite? Why do you have to play the opposite role, the opposite card here? I mean, I don't think it's necessarily true that your intentions are going to just simply get you out of here. I think you need to be strong. You need to think on your toes, figuratively speaking, because you're not going to have toes, but you need to think. All right, you need to be aware of what's coming at you, and you need to be extremely skeptical. And that starts here. Learning that the world is a stage. Learning that we don't live on a spinning globe. And that basically, this is the Truman Show, the Jim Carrey movie, the Truman Show. That's what you need to understand. And guess what, folks? It don't stop there. It goes even further. There's many deceivers here on YouTube. There's many liars. There's many grifters. There's many individuals who are not interested in truth. They're interested in their own... I can't think of the word right now. Their own self-preservation, basically. Okay? That's what they're interested in. So I'm certainly not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying it's hard either. I don't know. I know there's a lot of liars and deceivers out there. That's what I do know. That's one thing I know for sure. There are deceivers. And whoever created this matrix, whoever's behind this, probably doesn't want to make it easy for you to know the truth. And one constant in this world is fear. One constant is lies and deception. And making you feel small and little. And like you have no power, no significance. You're a grain of sand. That's what they want you to think. That's a constant. That's something I know for sure. So I'm not going to go down this path of oh, well, what makes you think it's so easy and this and that? So, just embrace the hell that we're in right now, or embrace being in a body, and just think of all these possibilities of how we can't get out of here. I want to think of ways that we can get out of here.
It does not follow, basically. It doesn't follow. That's overconfidence in a unicorn fart is what that is. Like, obviously we desire a paradise state beyond this one. Of course. Like, who the fuck wouldn't desire an actual paradise state beyond this one? What kind of dumbass wouldn't want that, right? It's the overconfidence in that I find very immature and very dubious, okay? Which is why I'm not confident in it. So I'm like, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm concerned about my consciousness being fucked with when I leave this state and when I die on terms that are not my own. In the sense that, okay, I'm not interested in being re-trapped in another form and having shit fucking tossed in my face or cast into some other fucking state that I don't want to be in or whatever the fuck it is. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in even the possibility of that fucking happening to me. Okay? So while I'm here in this fucking world, what I know for certain is that, okay, at least I know, at least for right fucking now, I can at least guarantee for the most part my physiological experiences with gorgeous women and other friends and relatives that care about me and treat me really well. At least in this life, in this world, right? At least I can do that here while I'm here, right? So at least I know that much. At least I can do that with my brain and body now, okay? So with all my desires for my particular paradise state beyond this one, it's like, let me guarantee it now first, within parameters that I know for fucking certain I can guarantee stuff within, And people would bring, well, even in this world you can't guarantee it. Well, you understand the context. Obviously, yeah, a meteor could fucking fall on my head tomorrow, obviously. I could.
Now, a meteor's not going to fall on your head tomorrow because the Earth is not a spinning globe and space is fake. I mean, come on, dude. Wake up. I mean, is this your first day in truth-seeking? I mean, you don't even know what's going on in this realm. How the hell are you going to figure it out when you're in the afterlife or the astral realm or whatever the next level is? Like, you can't even see that no meteoroid is going to hit your fucking head. I mean, wow. I'm so glad y'all stuck around for the ending here because this is glorious. But I do agree with what he was saying about, trying to figure things out here and focus on what he knows. Like what he knows to be true. Because once the body's gone, it's unpredictable what's going to happen. And there's going to be a lot of things trying to control you, a lot of things thrown at you. You get trapped into another body, and then things are thrown at you and controlled out of your completely, outside of any free will whatsoever. So I totally get that. Take this time to learn, to improve, to learn more knowledge and information. I'm sure there's so much knowledge out there that I have no clue about. I have no idea. And I'm trying to figure it out. But there's not a lot on YouTube that is presented in front of us. It's people like this. It's people like this. So, we got to do our own research. For sure. Look at the raw data. Don't watch a review on an NDE experience or an NDE. Review an NDE yourself. For every subject, for everything, don't watch a review of something. Do the review yourself.
You get struck by lightning. Somebody could run me over if I'm walking across a crosswalk, right? This is why you want to practice parkour, so you can jump over a car as it's coming at you and roll over it, which is another thing I practice for that reason. So once again, eliminating potentialities and possibilities.
So he wants to be stuck in this body, clearly. He wants to be stuck here. He must have a really great life. He must have a great life and not be aware of everything else that's going on to other people. I'm sure he is. But he's not displaying that here. What it sounds to me like he wants to milk this for all it's worth. And sure, I have things that I'm happy about. and that I want to harness and continue. But you know what? I got my eye on something else as well. I got an awareness.
That's why I practice what I do. So, yeah, anything could happen at any time, but the point is, I have a reasonable certainty that at least minus those freak things happening, as long as those freak things aren't going on, that I can at least be like, okay, I can go about my day doing these things, and my life is actually quite pleasurable. So if it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it, right? Why would I want to change something that's working? My life's working out right now. Things are smooth, other than some online bullshit from people who do the whole, they're attacking me thing. Other than that, my life's actually pretty good. So, that being the case, and even within that, my life is pretty good still. It's just a big clown show online, as you all know, and have seen very vividly, right? Don't sweat the small stuff, right? But basically, my life overall is pretty good. Not pretty good, like really good, actually, compared to most people most of the time. And I wish most people most of the time did have my quality of life themselves, actually. I wish that for others also. But I'm very happy with the life I personally experience and live. So I have no complaints, really, about my own life at all, other than minor.
So this is very interesting, and I think about this a lot, about how I can think about, on one hand, how great my life is and all the great experiences, how much I've learned, the material things that I have in my life, which are not substantial, but I can be grateful for them for sure. And then on the other hand, when you actually analyze things and you see things for what they really are, and you think, wow, that just completely outweighs any of the good stuff, really. Now, I don't want to be focused on that all the time. I know I get to choose. I get to choose to focus on the good, the positive, or the bad, the negative. So most of the time, I'm kind of like, just kind of aware. I'm sort of like sometimes focusing intentionally on positive things if I start feeling negative. Like, all right, let's just focus on how beautiful the trees look, or the sunset, or the clouds, the purple clouds, which I never remember when I was a kid. I never remember there being purple clouds. I think that's a Mandela effect. And leave comments below if you've noticed that too. Also, the clouds do appear to be very low in the sky compared to what they used to be. The sun is a lot brighter. It's like a white sun versus a yellow sun that I remember. But that's way beside the point. There are beautiful things that you can focus on that will make you feel good. Deep breathing makes you feel really good as well. Just getting outside, getting away from the screens, all those things. But when you use your thoughts, your brain, sure, you could call it the brain, whatever you want to call it, thoughts, and you think about what's going on and everything and you see things as a whole. Okay, not like isolated things, but as a whole, as a unit. It's like the mechanics of it, a mechanism. You see, ultimately, this is for suffering. Overall, it's for suffering. Boo-hoo, right? So scary. Oh my gosh, suffering. So terrible. Oh my God. But that's the awareness. I don't feel suffering. I don't. I'm very grateful for the knowledge and the wisdom that I've obtained over the years, and I have a lot more to go. And I've got nothing over many of you guys, but yeah, I mean, it sounds like Perpetual Pleasurist wants to stay in this body forever. I mean, he's going to use transhumanism to his advantage. He loves the idea of living forever. So, we'll see how that all goes. But we have a couple more minutes here. We'll see if we can finish this video. We only got a couple minutes left.
Ass stupid bullshit here and there, but other than that, I mean, no, my life's actually quite good, quite fulfilling. So that being the case, I want to maintain what I have now and improve on it. I'm not interested in just, let me just throw my hands up in the air and reject benevolent transhumanist technology that could help me. And a lot of these fuckers.
I bet this guy loved strapping a muzzle over his face for 3 years. I bet he absolutely loved that, and I bet he got all the boosters too. Yeah. All the boosters. I mean, come on. Oh, I'm embracing transhumanism. It's going to be so wonderful. I'm going to live forever, and it's going to make me more fulfilled. He's so fulfilled in this life. Well, you know what would be fulfilling? To not watch children wearing a muzzle on the way to school every day. That's more fulfilling, okay, than your sexual taboo pleasures. Okay? That's fulfilling to me. What's fulfilling is not having to argue with your family about having the right to breathe. Like, I should have a right to breathe. What's wrong with me? I don't go around and go into stores wearing that thing, and then there's something wrong with me. That would be fulfilling if, I don't know, other humans were kind of on the same page with reality. That'd be great. So, perhaps this is a glass half full individual and somebody who, like I said, I mean, I haven't watched many of his videos, so I don't really know for sure. I mean, he definitely is aware of the negatives and the evils of this world. However, seems to be a little contradictory here. Just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't smell right. I don't know about this perpetual pleasurist. We'll continue.
Online saying this where they're going to be like, oh no, I'm totally opposed to this. I'm not going to use it for... They're going to be just like cell phones, right? Just like they're going to use the technology just like everybody else. They just need to give a big mouth off against it before it arrives, basically. They need to give their little token, their little Luddite token of, I'm opposed to this, therefore blah, 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 the government conspiracy, I'm against the blah, blah. They just have to give their verbal opposition to it publicly. So therefore, see, I spoke against it, therefore, and then while they're using it like 10 years down the road, you know what I'm saying? And then making excuses as to why they're the exception in its use. Just like people did with computers and fucking cell phones, right? Oh, this is a technology designed to control us all, but now everybody uses them, even them who said it was designed for that purpose, and they're all making excuses as to why.
Yeah, I don't mind using some of that shit. Whatever comes out in the future, you know, you might have to use them, but I'm not putting that shit in my body. Not happening. Not happening, man. I'm not like you who wants to stay here forever. Okay? Yeah, and bang hoes. I'm not into that, alright? I'm not putting this shit in my body. I can type shit, you know, put it in my hands or whatever, a screen. I'm not putting that shit in my body. If you think that that's cool, man, you can think that's cool. That's you, but I don't think a lot of your listeners think that's cool. Just guessing, but I don't think a lot of them are cool with that shit.
Their case is the exception to the rule. Oh, I just use my phone for this and that just so I can do conspiracy videos and, you know, keep people updated on the truth of the reality and everything else now, blah, 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 right? That whole spiel. You know, whereas if people were actually fucking consistent, they would just all the way not use cell phones whatsoever. You see what I'm saying? Like, but that's not how this works. People will use the technology, and they do, while they sit there complaining about it all day, blah, 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 right? So that's just how it goes. Same fucking thing with transhumanist tech. It's going to be the same goddamn thing, more than likely, playing out, as has always been the case. You know, just like with every tech. So you got freaking firearms. Guns, which have helped people protect themselves, provide them with food in the wild for thousands of fucking years. Well, firearms specifically for, not thousands, plural, about you know, maybe 700-ish years now, basically. 500 years where they've been intensively, regularly used. But, you know, they've been around for much longer than that. The point being is that firearms and or, let's say, bow and arrow. Okay, bow and arrow, which have been around for thousands of years. Technology where you projectile technology, right? So nobody in their right mind would say that, okay, guns shouldn't exist at all, right? Because they can kill people, right? It's just basic sense. Well, obviously they can kill people, just like transhumanist tech can kill people. But does that mean it shouldn't exist? No. It just means that it shouldn't be used to kill people. It shouldn't be used to torture people. It should be used to benefit people, you know? Just like a gun.
But it will be used to harm people. Are you not aware of how governments operate and how the authorities operate? Of course they're going to be, and I know you know that. So why are you saying this stuff? Like, we need to be responsible. We need to make sure that transhumanism is used in the right way. You know it's not. It's going to be given it's going to give people the impression that it's a benefit. But the bad is going to outweigh the good. Period, dude. They may not realize it because they're not going to know how good they had it before. Or the ones that came before them. They're not going to know because they're going to be born into it and grow up into it and get used to it. Like all this other shit. And then you're saying like, oh, people use phones and whatever because they complain about it, but they use it anyway because you're forced to. That's the environment. That's the system. We can't control the system. We can talk about it. We can scream as loud as we can at the top of a mountain, but it's not going to change. That's what this whole realm is. It's bullshit.
It shouldn't be used to blast somebody's head off randomly. It should be used to keep yourself alive if you're in the wild and you have to hunt. It should be used to protect yourself and your family from people trying to hurt you, so you can shoot at them, right? Stuff like that. And so you can deter them from trying to attack you. Having a gun pointed at somebody's head is quite an effective deterrent. No shots necessary in most cases, right? Or them just knowing you have guns in the first fucking place, right? Never mind having to use them. So it's like, okay. Same thing with transhumanist tech. Same thing, okay? Or more or less the same thing. So, yeah, there you have it. I hope this video was very helpful and enlightening regarding my own personal view on the subject matter. Agent 20.
All right, so that we're going to wrap it up here. So clearly, Perpetual Pleasurist is not unintelligent at all. A very good speaker. I agree with some things that he spoke of in this video, for sure. Especially the last part about defense and, you know, how weapons can be used positively, of course. However, many things I'm concerned about here. He seems to be a little too attached to this matrix that we're living in, to this physical reality. I think that's concerning. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and appreciate any of you who hung around for the entire video. The longest one I've done. I wanted to do a really long one. And this was kind of fun. So let me know what you think.